Today we're creating a forestry industry, from the raw logs to the massive factories. We'll build a large paper factory and the harvesting operation to feed it. Next comes the custom-built industrial sawmill and the rail yard for exports. Finally, we'll round out the episode with a biomass power plant and support buildings. And we'll do our best to make it look beautiful with careful landscaping and detailing. Let's go! The first thing we want to work on is this massive industrial paper factory because it will determine the rest of the road layout for this whole episode. And this will be just one part of an entirely brand new, vertically integrated forestry industry. What that means is that we're building an industry that includes the extraction of resources, or the logging, and then the processing of those logs into boards at a custom-built sawmill, and of course the processing of pulpwood into paper and the related products. And then finally, we'll use the waste from these processes to create biomass energy. This paper factory is a huge beast, and we're starting to cut into a hilly area here. So we definitely want to flatten out the terrain as much as possible. And I'm leaving space for a little bit of commercial on that arterial as well. And I think this paper factory is one of the most beautiful assets in the game. And it really is reminiscent of the way they used to build factories back in the 1930s and 40s. And someone did a really great job on this asset. But of course, I don't want to just throw this asset in and then call it a day. So we're going to add an office block on the left side of this factory for the support staff, and we're going to get in a fire helicopter depot because we don't want the logging camps, which I'll be building next, to go up in flames, right? And unfortunately it did in my test build. So, lesson learned. And I went with the 2-lane highway here because 4 would just be overkill, and I just don't see us putting any zoning on that road up there. Something I want to do in this episode, which is something I've never done before, is leave a lot of space between these factory areas. So you'll see I'm using parks and giving the employees a kind of restaurant area so that we get this effect of everything being on a very large campus, right? And I want to make sure everything is connected with a whole bunch of pathways so that the workers have somewhere to walk, run, or bike on their breaks. I don't know how realistic that is, but let's just say this company is really concerned about the welfare of its workers. Here I'm using those industrial storage areas for the forestry industry because once a business settles into each of those, you'll see logs being stored there and trucks dropping those off, which adds a nice little complement to the paper factory, right? They'd need those logs nearby. But I did notice that after a long time, only one of those was partly filled, and so instead I just used the stacked log prop to make those storage areas look full, and I think it works. I did a little bit more research than usual for this episode, and I tried to figure out what sort of things would be attached to a paper factory in real life. And one of the things that came up was a retention basin where water is stored. And this is because paper production uses a lot of water, and this basin collects the fibers, the chemicals, and the dyes, and the inks before being treated and discharged. Sometimes they recycle this water, and basically it's a law that they have to treat this water before they put it out. So yeah, I guess it makes sense that they would have this basin here. And thankfully we have the water tool mod, which is really coming in handy so many times in my builds for creating lakes and streams. Really adds something to your build, and you should check it out. So now we come to, I guess this is the heart of the episode. This is, where the forestry industry all starts, which is when you start cutting trees out of the ground. And why are we doing a forestry industry at all? Well, I was looking at our city's production capacity, and of course, we had no local industry aside from processing, right? So everything was being imported, and I didn't think that made for a very healthy city. So what I decided was we have a lot of trees up right near the industrial area, and so it just made perfect sense to start with forestry. And so what I'm doing here, I removed all the trees, which might seem like a strange thing to do when you're doing a forestry industry, but I couldn't see the contour lines. So I wanted to make sure the road that I was getting in here actually made sense, that it wasn't cutting through, the top of mountains. And I just thought it was way easier to take the trees out, get the roads in, and then put the trees back after. So yeah, that's the magic of of having a game instead of real life. So there we are. And of course, we'll add 2 fire watchtowers here. This is something that would happen in real life too. I know these exist in many, many places in North America. I don't know about Europe, but it's certainly something that still exists, where there are, usually young people, volunteers that, want to make a little money and maybe escape reality for a while, and just go sit in a fire watchtower and look for fires and hang out on the radio and, let people know when there's a fire. And in the game, it's really helpful because those fire watchtowers, I think it reduces the response time by like 90%, right? And that works well with the fire helicopter depot, because that's the only way you're going to put out a fire in this area of the trees, which is by air. I actually had to re-record this section because the first time I did it, I put in the logging camps, the lumber areas first, and then I fired in the trees over top with anarchy on. And guess what? The trees went all over the roads, and the only way I was going to get that off without deleting everything was deleting one by one those trees. So I said, you know what, it's going to be quicker just to start over and re-record it. So lesson to you and lesson learned for me is be careful with anarchy. It can really get you if you're not careful. Now, I know that over time, if you just let the game run, these forestry areas, they will start to actually remove trees. You'll see the trees getting thinned out. You'll even see these little vehicles moving around and doing their thing, which is pretty cool. I just love the detail in this game. But I thought it might be awesome to just create some clearings of my own, fire in some of these vehicles, put down some felled logs, and give it a terrain. I think the end result's pretty good, so let me know what you think. Well, this is definitely my favorite part of the episode. I know I'm not supposed to be biased, but I think this part turned out the absolute best out of everything we're building today. I spent a lot of time looking at images of sawmills on Google Earth, and there was this one where it's just probably hundreds and thousands of logs stacked up with a bunch of trains in front of it and smoke coming out the top, this silver buildings. And that's exactly what I was going for, and I think it turned out so good. I think this is the first time I've used props in this way, taking a bunch of different pieces of buildings and combining them to make something entirely new. I've got to say, it's a bit addictive, and I can imagine I'm going to be doing a lot more of this in the future. And the rail yard was an absolute must for this episode. I absolutely love trains because when I was a kid, my dad was a model railroad enthusiast, and half of our basement was his very detailed train layouts. And I think I picked up some of that along the way, and so now any chance I get to put a railroad into CS2, I do it. I feel like I'm definitely going outside of my comfort zone here with using so many props, but I'm really starting to understand the power of what you can do with them. You know, I think putting all these logs here and all the stains and the dirt really makes for a beautiful industrial area, if dirt can be beautiful. And I'm kind of giving myself some credit for also on the other side of this, on the left side here, putting in some wood stacks and playing with Move It to kind of get them to actually stack on top of each other. I've installed this Control-C mod, which really makes life easy. You can just copy what you've got already and you know, make as many as you want of those. And so I think it's really turning out to show that this is an area where they're taking raw logs, they're cutting them down into planks, and they're coming out the other side, and then they'll be loaded onto the train, right? Crazy to say, perhaps, but all this dirt, all these stains, all the oil patches, it really makes for a beautiful industrial area. It actually makes it look real. And when you look at some other content creators' work, it almost looks photorealistic from the air. And that's kind of what I'm going for here, is I'm trying to make it look like it's actually a real place, not just a game that's all polished. So we're putting tire marks, we're putting stains on the walls, we're putting, garbage piles around. And I think that's what you'd see in reality. I'll let you in on a little secret. So this biomass power plant is kind of the entire reason for this whole episode. After the last episode, I let it run for a couple months, as I always do. And I saw, okay, what's the city going to do over time, right? And the big thing was, we just don't have enough garbage capacity. So I thought, all right, what can we do to fit in some more garbage trucks, right? I didn't want to do another recycling center. I didn't want to expand on that. And I didn't want a dirty landfill. I think it's a gross thing to put into your city. So I said, okay, well, this waste to energy plant looks pretty cool. And hey, it would actually fit right into a forestry industry as a biomass power plant. So what is a biomass power plant? Well, it's a facility that uses organic matter, or biomass, to generate electricity. So they use materials like wood, crop residues, and other waste, and they burn this or gasify it to produce heat, which is then used to generate steam to turn a turbine and create electricity. So we're killing a few birds with one stone here. You can see all the garbage trucks just flying out of there, picking up the leftover garbage. We're basically future-proofing the city for many, many years to come. And we're getting some more electricity out of it because, hey, we are a energy exporting powerhouse in the city. Now, I didn't want to just, like the paper factory, throw in a big plant and then call it a day. No, we've got so many interesting little assets in this game. I wanted to create a whole bunch of support buildings, right? So we're using warehouses, we're using some agricultural buildings, we're using some forestry buildings, and we're using that annex from the waste energy power plant. And we're imagining that this area would be where they store some of the biomass, right? Think, I'm going to put in some piles of old cardboard. I'm putting in rubble piles of wood. And we're using, maybe think like, I don't know, corn husks or like wheat sheaves or whatever comes off the wheat after they harvest it, right? Just things that you would not have a better use for. And so instead, you're just going to turn it into energy. And I think it turns out, what do you think? I'm kind of like not quite sure this is my best part of the build, but let me know what you think. I'd be curious to know how you would do it and what you would improve. And maybe if you have some ideas, I'd love to hear them too. Well, how do you think it turned out? And what do you want to see next in this city? Let me know in the comments. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you want to support more content like this, you can visit my Patreon site. There you can get the save game for each episode of this city, Bridgewater. That way you can explore every last detail on your own. Thanks to everyone who has supported me with a like, a follow, or more over the years. It's this kind of support that makes these videos possible. I'll leave you with some cinematics, and we'll see you in the next episode.